My name's Gina Whitener. I do occupational therapy for the district, one of the occupational therapy people. So we are here to talk about, are your kids driving you crazy? Anybody have students that drive them crazy? Everybody needs to put their hands up at this time, so. Okay. If you are able to have a handout, usually at this point I have music talking or playing or a background noise playing, and then I start talking very quietly, but we don't have a speaker system. So, and then somebody says, wait, I can't hear you. And then I say, oops, I need to get on the screen. And then I say, exactly, what if your sense of hearing was so intense that you could hear what was going on in other classrooms, that you could hear the cars outside? I've had a student years ago, she would go over and point to the phone and the thing would ring. It's like, whoa, okay, that's really wild. What if you could hear that intensely? Would you be one to flap your hands or have all kinds of negative behaviors? Yeah, you probably would. There are 3 reasons why people do things. And this is Miss Jerry taught me this. There's 3 reasons why people or kids do things. Sensory, to obtain something, and to escape. So if it is truly a sensory problem, they're going to do it here. They're going to do it at Walmart. They're going to do it in class. They're going to do it everywhere. So some people say, well, they do this, this, and this at home. Exactly, because you allow them to get away with it. They don't do it at school. That is a behavior. It's not a sensory problem. I have lots of sensory problems personally, and everybody that knows me knows that that's true. I'm at the table by myself by choice because it's just too close. I can't handle people that close around me. I'm like Vicky back there. I've got to get up. I got to walk. I got to move. I have my crocheting with me. I have to do things. If you have kids that have issues and you know they have sensory issues, what can you do? Can you modify their environment? Some people are using balls in their classroom now, so the kids will sit on a ball. Miss Pam has a student who sits there and literally bounces, 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 and then stops and writes. And then he reads the next thing. I mean, he goes to town on that ball, just bouncing up and down. But it's a way for him to stay focused. It's a way for him to work hard. So, you know, some people are getting some new kids this year at the junior high, and they have lots and lots of sensory issues. She's got Miss Dugan, wipe that off. She has a spinning board. She has all kinds of stuff in her classroom to try to help these kids so they can work. Sometimes kids can just sit on a little cushion, and that helps. For me, I can't sit for long periods of time, even though my backside is bigger than most. I have very protruding butt bones. And it's hard for me to sit. So I can't sit. When I go to church, I have to stand up and go to the back. I have to move around. It hurts to sit for a long time. Okay, what else can you do to modify it? Can you give them headphones? Maybe just, some kids can't even handle the fan going in the background. I mean, it's just too much for them. Can you give them headphones so they can handle that and focus? Some kids, Miss Rebecca, she had a kid that would listen to an iPod and was able to focus and do their work. Schedule. Can you change the schedule so they don't have issues? They hate math. Dee Dee had a student who hated math. Can you change the time where we're doing a liked and then a disliked, a liked and then a disliked? So let's say he really likes to go outside. Let's go ahead and make it math and then recess. So he has something to work for. That's another thing. Routines. Is it going to help them to have a routine? I like routines. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a freak. I make schedules for the summer. I have to have a routine or else I just can't handle things. Can we teach them how to do coping strategies? Later on in this, I'm going to show you a diagram from How Does Your Engine Run? And it has all kinds of, you know, where you are on the sensory chart. Do you need to take a break? Let's teach the kids at a young age, God willing, I need a break. I need to go swing. I need to go sit in a quiet, dark room. And then we talked about grouping. Okay, we talked about timing. So what is sensory integration? Sensory integration is the way we take in the information. Thank you. There we go. Sensory integration is the way we take in information. And a lot of the kids that we have had problems from birth. And they didn't get the right sensory input to help them to be able to have it correctly now, me being one of them. Some people are very, very sensitive to sound or touch. You've had those kids where you go up and touch them on the back and they're, wah! A lot of the kids at some of our specialty schools have lots of issues with those kind of things. Everybody has sensory problems. I'm probably one of the biggest sensory problems. So if you're seeing this and you're like, oh my gosh, my kid does this. Yeah, it's okay. Everybody has issues, so it's not a big deal. But sensory integration is the way we take in our information from our environment and process it. Some of us process it well, and some of us don't. So what do? People say, all you do is play with kids. And that is one reason why I do what I do, because I do get to play. But when we're playing, we're really working. Like, we do scooter boards, and people are like, all you're doing is playing. No, I'm building up strength. I'm getting that child to be on their belly. A lot of kids don't handle being on their belly. We're working on their vestibular system, so when they're whizzing down the ramp, some kids start out and they're so scared. Kids, especially little boys, should be able to just get on those scooter boards and go ripping down the ramp. Some kids can't stand it. Some kids are crazy and they need to be reeled back in, because they'll take the scooter boards down the ramp, they'll take them down the steps, they'll take them everywhere. So that's what it does look like play, but I swear I'm working, but it is really fun. So how many sensory systems do we have for people who haven't seen my presentation? How many? How many senses do we have? I was going to say, you're supposed to say 5. No, we don't have 5. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 2 more. First one is the visual system. We all know what that is. It's how you see things. Has anybody ever had one of those kids that sees everything? Every little on the floor. They're picking up the tiniest little things, and they're running away with it. They're eating it. My son could find anything on the floor. It was just so annoying. Auditory. How do we hear? Pretty simple. Do you hear a lot? Do you have those kids that are zoned out? Taste, or some people call it gustatory. Kids who don't eat things. We have a bunch of kids that will not try new things. You're going to have some, you have some, everybody has some. They have oversensitive taste, or it's not sensitive enough. Olfactory, smell. Dee Dee has a kid who likes to smell everything. So every year, whoever has them, you have to have smelly pencils and smelly stickers and anything you can. That's a calming source for him. If he can take those smelly, he's here and he's smelling those smelly stickers and pencils, and it helps him to stay focused. Tactile is your touch system. Some kids can't stand touch. Some kids are way too, they want to touch everything and do everything and go everywhere. The next one, vestibular. This is the one I like, because this is my system that is all jacked up. Vestibular is the thing that you're walking along and you're going to fall, and it tells you, oh, stick your hands out, because you're falling and you're going to hit the floor. We all have kids who don't have this sense. They fall and face plant, and you think, why didn't you put out your hands? This is why they don't put out their hands, because their vestibular system, it's in your inner ear, doesn't work correctly. So they don't get that sensation, oh, I'm falling, I need to stick my hands out. This is the system where, as you age, if you go on a roller coaster or whatever, you get sick now. Whereas at a kid, you could go forever and ever and ever. It changes the older we get, because we don't move as much as when we're kids. This system is a system, if anybody ever been on a boat, and then you get off and you're trying to sleep and you're like, I swear I'm still doing this. And you can't sleep, or you feel like you got to put one foot on the floor because you're still, yeah, I cannot go on a boat. I would never go on a cruise. All right, proprioceptive. That's your other sense. That's your last sense. That's the one that tells your body where it is in space, and you think that's weird. I've had kids that you can blindfold them, and I can take their hand and I can do this, and I can say, put your other hand in the same position. They cannot do it. They don't know where their body is. They don't have those natural little nerve endings that shows them, this is where my body is. These are the kids, pardon me? They can't dance, yes. I don't have a problem with that. I can dance. All right. How many people in here have issues with ADHD? Yes. Yeah, y'all should be. If you don't have it, you know somebody that does have it. This is my life at my house. This is my son. It's very interesting. When my son was growing up, my house looked like a therapy gym. We had the mini trampoline, we had the big trampoline, we had the ball, we had the swing, because he was constantly in movement. And you think, medication, medication. Well, we did eventually, trust me. But they have ADHD, has a low arousal. So they're constantly in movement to try to keep themselves aroused and up. That's why stimulant medication works for them. And then this isn't in your packet, but you see ADHD, all these are related. Autism, anxiety, Tourette's, OCD, developmental disorder, gifted. Do we have any gifted teachers here? No, not you. Not your gifted. No. Okay, gifted. Anybody who has had those little kids that are really, really smart, you know they're kind of a little quirky. Sensory integration, auditory processing, depression, ADD, and ODD, love that one. Specific learning disabilities, and I think I started with autism. All these are all related. You're going to see characteristics in all of them related to ADHD. Okay. And then, blah, blah, blah. Some famous people with ADHD who have made themselves a success. I don't know who this is. My husband pulled these pictures up, so I'm not sure who that is. No, she doesn't look like she has enough plastic surgery to be her. But there's tons of people. Use it to your advantage. Teach your kids how to use their disability to their advantage. For me, I have a job where I change kids every 30 minutes. That works well for me. I go to 7 different schools. If I was at one school full time, I would quit because I can't handle it. I need to go, go, go. But it is really awful when it's nasty out. I hate that then. Okay. Oh, yeah, when it's beautiful, I'm like, ha ha, y'all are inside and I'm outside. So we have impaired sensory systems, hyposensitivity to tactile input. These are the kids that are constantly touching. Their system doesn't work right, so they have to have lots and lots and lots of stimulation. They're the ones that are up in your space, like I like to do to some of you guys. They're the ones that are always touching you. And you like it when I do that. Hypersensitivity to touch. Those are the kids that can't get their hands dirty. They're really, I don't want to touch that. I'm never one that if I'm doing an activity and there is, kids don't want to touch it, I'm not the one, well, no, that's not true. I will sometimes, depending on the child and how long have we worked, take their hand and go, here you go. We're going in it. I usually let them work up to that, though. I don't do it right away. We've all had kids like that you got to push. Auditory difficulties. We talked about this. Some kids are so in tune to every little sound, and some kids are zoned out. Gustatory, the picky eaters. Those kids drive me crazy. There's a boy that I've had since he was 3, and he just recently, he's 12 now, going to the junior high, he just recently has started trying vegetables. Huge deal. I mean, this is the kid, he would only eat, some kids would only eat round and brown. Has to be round and brown. You know, he would only do this typical pizza, chicken nuggets, French fries, but they always had to be specific brands. Now he's really branching out. As we age, our taste systems change. So, like, I never ate broccoli or tried broccoli until I was 25, and my husband's like, come on, just try it. I love broccoli. Why? It looked weird. It smelled weird. It had a funny texture. I did not try it. It's so amazing how many fruits and vegetables that I really like. Like I said, I do what I do because I have issues. Proprioceptive systems. This is the kid that pushes really hard or not hard enough. So we all have kids like this, the crashers, the bumpers, it's like, why can't this child just walk through the room without tripping, you know? Oh, it drives you crazy. But they're constantly seeking that input, that hard input. These are the kids that I'm like, go do karate, go running, go, you know, let's take 10 trips around the building just to get them, you get them running and getting that hard proprioceptive input, and they'll calm down. This is my son. Oh, the son who jumped on the bed constantly, and that's why we got the trampolines, and he wore a trampoline out. But it was the only way that he could stay alive and live in my house. So, visual systems. These kids have problems. Where does the letters go? Where do they go on the page? Everything. I'm trying to think of other examples. Copying puzzles, shapes, staying on a line. Why can't you stay? You know, the line is a ½ inch thick, and they're like, you know, and you're like, stay on the line. They can't. I've had kids who, like, and I have an issue with vertical blinds. Vertical's this way, horizontal blinds. I know, to me, horizontal blinds look like they're escalators, like they're moving constantly. So, yeah, you guys get to know all the down and dirty stuff. These people have issues with their visual system. I definitely have issues. My daughter has issues. It was so funny when she was little, stepping onto an escalator. Oh my gosh, up until she was about 12. She's like, she couldn't, finally I just go and step with her because she just couldn't process that information. Vestibular system. Again, these are the kids that are bouncing all over the place, or they're also the kids that don't move. They're the kids on the fringe. They're the kids that don't want to do anything. They're rigid, they're uncomfortable. They're the kids where you go to wash their hair and lean them back, and they're like, you know, no. They don't want to lean back. That's uncomfortable for them. Okay, I love this. This is from How Does Your Engine Run? And we use this with my little guy that I talked about that I've had since he was 3, and he's 12 now. And it was going pretty well for him. He needed to be able to identify, I can email you guys this. This is not in those handouts. You get them to try to stay, you know, find a good green. Green, I love it. Green is go. Try to get them to stay in a good area. Where are you right now? I'm cool, I'm calm, I relax. Okay, I'm getting frustrated and irritated. What can I do? Here's suggestions on what to do. I think this is absolutely awesome. I think it works for all kids. You know, we want to try to get them, when they move to this, to have a strategy. Of course, we're going to have to lead them there initially. We're going to have to show them this, you know, look, you look like you're in the yellow. What can we do to get you to calm down? And then eventually, the little guy I was talking about, he was able to say, I need a break. Okay. Here's some signs of sensory overload. I had a situation, and I wish I would have said more at the time, where there was a kid that had lost it. And he was, let's see, he kept saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. And he was verbalizing, stop, stop, stop. And the principal was not being nice. He was on sensory overload. He was done. That was it. Yelling at him, getting on to him, punishing him was not what needed to happen at that time. He needed a break. He needed downtime. Downtime, yeah, of course some kids will manipulate it, but downtime is not a reward. Sometimes when you're in this area, you need a break. How many of us need a break sometimes, but we don't get to take one? Yeah. I mean, sometimes these kids just need to, and then they can get back on track, and then they can get punished for their behavior. All right. That's a quick reference, guys. It just goes through some of the things that we've already talked about. Oh, I forgot my demonstration. I love this demonstration. I'm going to move my video camera because I'm a very visual person. I need to see things. Okay. This, in my mind, is what it's like to be a sensory person. Okay. Here is your non-impaired student. Here is your impaired student. This is their sensory cup. How long is it going to take for it to get filled up? Okay, so our first thing is we had a poor night's sleep. Okay? I know some of you guys can't see it, so. And now, and many of us have done this, we woke up late. So now I'm rushing around trying to get ready because the bus is coming. Okay, so we woke up late. Uh-oh, not going well. Mom and Dad were fighting last night. Okay. I fell off the bus. You know that last step? Thank God they didn't have buses in my day, because I would have fallen all the time. Okay, I fell off the bus. Ah! That's okay. Well, when I got to school, I had to go to the nurse's office because I scraped up my knee. I got blood. So, and she had those gloves on, you know, and they have way too much powder. So here's the powder. Okay, so here's some powder. Okay. Now, when I was in the nurse's station, she had perfume on, and like she was probably late and she didn't have time to take a shower, so she just, so it was way too much. I was like, oh girl, that's way too much. So here's her perfume. Here's her perfume. And now I finally get into class. And what is the first thing you say to me?
We have a test today.
Oh, there you go. We have a test. Where's your homework? Where's your homework? I don't have my homework. I left it at home. I had to get out in a hurry this morning. My mom didn't pack my bag. I love that one. Mom didn't pack my bag. Okay. Now, you see the difference. Okay? We're already full here. This guy is doing okay. And now it's time for math. I hate math. I always have hated math. Okay, now, you guys teach. As you can see, he's done. It's over with. Now he's having a meltdown. This is before you ever started anything. So, it's time for math. I don't want math. It's done. And my whole purpose in doing that is just to kind of, I have to have visuals because visuals will help me. We don't know what these kids are experiencing before they get here. We don't know what's happened. So take that into consideration. If you guys have any questions about kids that you think might be sensory but they're not getting services, let me know. Be happy to help you out. So that's it for sensory. Does anybody have any questions?
Just one more question.
Yes.
Go back to that screen
Okay, I can email that to you. Okay. Yeah, anybody, well, I'll try to just email it to everybody. Okay, no questions about sensory. I am going to run through, do I have a few more minutes? Well, she's not here, so I do. Handwriting. My book is done. Well, that wasn't my goal, but I will talk about it. Okay, my book is done. It's on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's called the Simple Handwriting Program. That handwriting. Sometimes early childhood people, I hear people say, oh, it's not a big deal if they don't hold the pencil correctly or the marker correctly. Yes, it is. Because it's like if I'm saying, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my biceps get bigger. Or, hey, I'm going to try to get rid of this little thing that, and in order to get rid of my chicken wings over here, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to just work out that bicep. This isn't going to go away, this right here, if I'm doing this. I've got to do my tricep exercises, and I've got to try to work on my triceps. Same thing with handwriting. It's not going to get better if this is acceptable. If we're letting us, thumb wrap, let's work on them doing it correctly the first time. There's great grippers. They're called grotto grips. Great grippers to use, or take and break those crayons. Give them little bitty short crayons. If you want to use markers, use the pipsqueaks. Those are awesome. They're about that big, so they help encourage a proper grasp. But it's really important to work on that grasp, just like with with cutting. And some people will let them cut like this. That is not acceptable. I can't build up my bicep if my hand's turned over. I can't build up the correct muscles in my arm and my wrist if my hand's turned over. I need to turn it upright. I need to have my thumb towards the ceiling, and I cut, and I cut, and I cut, and I cut, and I cut. So, if you guys, I can't think of anything else. I will, though, later. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me at kidskillz@gmail.com. That's for that, but you know my work address. So, any questions, any comments besides I'm awesome? Thank you.